Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head? G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to another episode of What the Bloody Hell have Gaijin done this time? Today we're going to be looking at the abomination that is the Lightning F6, the trash can that it came from, and the trash can that it is going to make. The Lightning F6, for those of you who don't know, has been reduced from battle rating 10.0 to battle rating 9.7, and for those of you that fly the Lightning F6 and only the Lightning F6, you would consider that an extremely positive change. The Lightning F6 is now very, very competitive, and it is usable, whilst it still retains some of the more annoying things, like it being fucking fat, and it also having missiles that really aren't that amazing until about 1 kilometer and a bit, then you would consider that to be a fairly decent change. However, for those of you that enjoy playing anything except the Lightning, or things other than the Lightning, then you would understand how bad that this change actually is. The Lightning has basically replaced the F-104 as the most annoying jet at the 8.7 to 9.7 range. The Lightning F6 is now also the only Mach 2 capable jet to fight subsonics basically every single game, which was previously taken by the F-104. It makes you wonder, what in the world is Gaijin thinking? Do they just look at their statistics and go, "Is playing bad and is performing too bad, so we put it down in battle rating and we make money, bled"? I know that was a terrible Russian impression, but do forgive me. This particular move is perhaps one of the things that proves that Gaijin does not play their own game. For me, this represents something extremely frustrating and something circular that we have had issues with basically since Gaijin has produced War Thunder. Gaijin only looks at their statistics and bases their entire balance of spreadsheets, algorithms, and numbers. This is tragic. This simply does not work in any video game whatsoever. In fact, it doesn't even work out in things like engineering. For those of you who are engineers, you will obviously know that the theory doesn't always pan out entirely the way you expect. In fact, in some cases, it pans out to be better or worse than what you may have predicted with calculations. And of course, you need to make adjustments for that. Now, Gaijin have also done the same. And for those of you who work in medicine, for example, you'll know that the same is different. What you're taught in the textbook does not always pan out when you go and actually consult a patient. And I know that because I work in radiography, well, as a student, but regardless, you do see these types of things occurring in real life. And of course, whilst Gaijin is just producing a video game, at the same time, they're also working off numbers. But on top of that, there is an unexpected and unaccountable figure that needs to be discussed, worked through, and figured out. And Gaijin have not done that. And that is really simple. Gaijin have not taken in the full picture. And that's exactly what you are supposed to do when you make an adjustment as an engineer or as any healthcare professional or as any game designer. You need to take in every last detail, down to the last crumb, the last grain. And what Gaijin has done is they've looked at their spreadsheet and gone, hey, this could go with a change. And they've just thrown a change in willy-nilly and expected things to happen for the positive. However, it does not work that way. What Gaijin should have done, and I will make this nice and clear right now, they should have increased the battle rating spread in jets to 10.7. They did it for tanks, and I will be honest with you, I didn't really think that tanks needed decompression more than planes. And I think many people that play both will agree with me. Tanks, surely, could do with some decompression. In fact, I would love to personally see some tank decompression, when we got that. But if you were to decompress either tanks or planes, I would have expected that planes would have gotten that first, because they're in a bit more of a situation. You see, it's a lot easier for an M1 standard to go up against something like a T-80 or a Leopard 2A5 than it is for something like a Lightning F6 to go up against a MiG-21 SMT. The differences in performance between a 10.0, an F100D, and a MiG-21 SMT or an F4 Phantom or a Mirage are too great to basically be in the same matchmaker. They should be, at the very least, 0.1 battle rating apart, and as we know, that just does not happen. Now, the hard BR lock at 9.7 is really interesting, and I think it's a positive change. However, throwing the 9.7s in with 8.7s is where the problem really shows its ugly head. You see, instead of that decompression, what Gaijin have gone and done is they've thrown the Lightning F6 at a lower battle rating and then thrown the F104 at a higher battle rating. So what this does effectively... Oh, and the SU7. So now the only thing that is supersonic that is capable of combating the Lightning F6 is the F100 and the Saab J32, although I don't think that is actually supersonic. I think it's close, and it's got an afterburner, but it does not come anywhere near the power-to-weight ratio of the Lightning F6. So, you have basically replaced the competition with something that is arguably more capable because it is able to turn with certain things. So the Lightning F6 can actually, in certain circumstances, compete with the F100 in a dogfight, whereas the F104 had absolutely no chance in doing so. The Lightning F6 can also climb to space, way before anything at 9.7 that competes with it can do the same. In fact, it has such an insane climb rate that you can just run all game in a Lightning F6 from an F100. And I've had it happen to me. It literally took a 30-minute game for the Lightning F6 to run out of fuel for me to come and catch him. And if you ask me, I think I would take the bloody F104s any day. Because at least they have to travel in a straight line, and when they turn, they lose all their speed. Ideally, I would like to have both of them at 10.0, and the battle rating spread increased to 10.7, with the hard BR lock at 10.0. I think that would be a lot more fair, and I think throwing the F100s, all of them at 10.0, instead of the American one for some reason going to 10.0, I genuinely don't get that. It just does not make sense, and the way Gaijin go about things is by looking at numbers and judging off that. And if you did look at the numbers, you would kind of be in the right spot. You would think, okay, logically, you think the Lightning F6 is doing poorly, throw it down, and the F104 is doing too well, throw it up. But in that, you fail to take into account the big picture. And this is the kind of thing that Gaijin have been doing for a long time. And I don't know at what point it will click for them, but at one point it definitely has to. Because you're going to kill a massive battle rating off just because you don't pay attention to the big picture. And that is such a huge mistake for a company that is in charge of such a large game to make. It's something that even other big game developers have done. Ubisoft have done this. They look at their Rainbow Six win delta and go, oh, well, Jackal's too high. I guess we better nerf him again. But in reality, people are just banning him because they don't like the idea of what he can do. The same goes with Monty, the same goes with Clash, and in the War Thunder, the same goes with the F104, the F100, the MiG-21F, and company. It seems that game developers do not get it in this case. And you might think, well, surely, why don't you go there and pretend that you're all righteous and on your high horse and know what's best for a game when, someone with years of experience is behind the wheel. And I think in some cases they're right. But I would like these people that are in charge of a big game to take into account more than one situation. More than one little aspect. Because the numbers don't always translate to real life. And in this case here, in this match, we'll go over some things that I can just do that you can't do in any other plane at this battle rating. You can't even do it in the F100 because you're only maybe 50 to 100 kilometers per hour faster than the next guy. In fact, on the deck, the J-32B with missiles will be able to catch you because you will have to turn to get away from those missiles. Super Mister here, he's in a climb. I'm going to prep a missile just for him. And you can see I'm getting in nice and close, 1.8 kilometers. I send that bad boy flying. And granted, he's not really paying attention until the last second, but that missile pulls 16 Gs at 9.7 fighting 8.7s. I'm going to send a missile in for this MiG-17 AS, and he realizes as well, but 16G missile, you can't do anything against. Especially when you've been caught climbing. Now, granted, these guys should not have been climbing AFK like that, but having that capability to sweep in, grab someone while they're in what is arguably one of their more critical stages of the game, and just swipe them out of the match like that is a little bit excessive. And you could do that with the F-104. You could, back in the day, do that with the Hunter. And anything with ridiculous amounts of speed can do that. But can they also go up to 6,000 meters, where the next best thing can probably only do 4,000 meters? The Lightning is literally, what was it, the saddle to a skyrocket or something along those lines? It really is that ridiculous at this battle rating. And if you think about it, the RAF went from Hunters to this. You would definitely feel like you are saddled to a skyrocket after going from Hunter or Meteor or Venom to this. And so this is exactly the transition that we're talking about. We're talking something that is subsonic, something that is, granted, it's got a decent amount of power for its battle rating, to something that is, quite frankly, utterly ridiculous. And here, the only real threat is another Lightning F6. And that is when you know that you have gotten the balance out of whack. At the very least, the Su-7 was a decent competitor to the F-104. And I honestly believe that the F-104, the Lightning F6, the Hunter F6, and our good old friend the Su-7 would be really good competitors against each other. Of course, you could throw the F-100 in there as well, and maybe the MiG-21F, because that bleeds a shit ton of speed and is extremely hard to use, but is kind of like an ME-163 of its battle rating. Now, I would love to see a matchmaker with these late Mach 1s or early Mach 2s, if you will, sort of come to the fray and fight out against each other. I think that would be a fantastic matchmaker. And once again, Gaijin has sort of missed that opportunity to do that. And whilst it is really frustrating to see it, there's still that opportunity to do so. I would suggest, especially when the next round of battle ratings come through, definitely be pushing for this sort of thing. Push for it now. Talk on Reddit, on the forums, on Twitter, in-game, on Discord servers. It doesn't matter. Wherever you discuss War Thunder, definitely talk about this battle rating issue. Getting it discussed in the community will make Gaijin realize that, hey, we should probably stick our finger out of our assholes and get moving. This is one of... A lot of people will say, oh, boycott War Thunder. They don't care. If it's one day and they lose 10% of their player base in one day because no one else hears about this, then they don't really care because the game fluctuates. But if they constantly hear on the forums, on Reddit, and in Discord servers a general community feeling and a need to address it, obviously in a civil manner, don't go spamming the Twitch, don't go spamming the Twitter, do it in the appropriate places, and then Gaijin will have some respect for you. Do something, and especially if it's targeted, if it's a specific issue, definitely bring it up, talk about it, get it going within the community, and these are the issues that you can iron out very readily. Ask for more decompression. Never stop pushing for this sort of thing, and you will get it. It's happened before. And it will happen again. You just need to be a little bit perseverant, and you just need to show Gaijin that little bit of respect, and they will cave, or they will at least accept or recognize the need for this sort of stuff, because they don't play their own game. They need to realize that from the player base, from the prominent voices in the community, and from just a general vibe of the player base. You will get that sort of change. You just need to be patient. This match has pretty clearly demonstrated that I can do whatever the hell I want in the Lightning, and that is a bad thing. You should not be able to do whatever you want in any plane. You should have to play it properly. And the fact that the only thing that is stopping me from completely dominating an enemy team are other Lightnings is concerning and needs to be addressed. Please do not go screaming at Gaijin. Make it constructive. Make it civil. And do what is best for the game. And trust me, we will get places. We have before, and we'll fucking do it again. So, with that last Lightning dead, that's game over. A nice little 4-piece. And of course, bugger all effort spent. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you've actually got a better solution. I really want to know. I also want you guys to definitely take care. Be careful. We are still in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Stay home. I beg you. I've seen enough as it is. And I really don't want to see any more problems. Just, it's not worth it going out that once. And it is, you could just stay inside and watch my videos. But on a serious note, please stay safe. Don't get yourself into trouble. And please push these issues with civility. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments below. That's really important to me. And I'll catch you next time.